This is Kelly Fidel coming live to you from Palos Verdes Estate at the beautiful chateau overlooking the ocean. I'm sure you can see it in the backyard. And what I'm really excited about today is that we have an amazing and special guest with us, Cindi Webb. Cindi, so happy that you're with us here today. You are going to be absolutely moved, touched, and inspired, and you can actually catch more about Cindi at cindiwebb.com. What we're going to do today is just share a little bit with you, kind of a fireside chat or an oceanside chat today. And I really want you all to have the opportunity to experience what I have with my dear friend, and just what an incredible world she can create for you, and how she can show you how to harness your own inner power and create the life that you want and the life that you deserve to have. So Cindi, I'm so excited that you're here.
Thank you so much, Kelly.
Yeah.
This is such a treat and a delight to be here in Southern California with all of you and experience this amazing place that we're enjoying today. It's just beautiful.
It is beautiful. And so some of us, because it's a little warm out here and it's a little sunny, we might put on our cool California shades. At least I am. You can do those if you want.
I can connect to all of you. So I'm going to do my best to be with you without the glasses on. And
very cool. I love that. So now I feel bad because I can't see your eyes. So tell everyone, if you would, first of all, how did you find out that you had this amazing gift to inspire others and discover who they are?
Well, it started back when my son, who's now 22, was a little boy. We took him into the hospital and found out that he had a very major heart defect.
Wow.
And it was going to require either surgery or he wasn't going to live to be a year old.
Wow.
And when that happened, my whole life shattered, changed dynamically, and I realized that it was through the journey of his life and living that it was going to magnanimously change my life. So what happened was that they basically said, go home and have another one. That was not going to work for me. Never, ever, ever. So through the course of going through to learn what it was going to take to help him have a life, if you will, the series of events, the courses that it took to come to the place to understand what his life was going to be like, what my life was going to be like, and what it was going to take. The courage, the strength, the fortitude, just to really get into that place to change how I thought about everything.
So I'm going to stop you right here because this is an absolutely amazing story. I know that you yourself have probably, you're watching this and you're thinking, wow, I've had a tragedy like that, or a potential, something horrific in my life, or maybe something not that bad at all. And so the question always comes, how do you, we'll always do something for others before we do it for ourselves. So how did you kind of rise above this potentially negative situation and turn it around and say, failure is not an option, I'm going to believe for all of us? How did you find the courage and strength to do that?
Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of background in that so that you really grasp what happens to us, what we're faced with, and where you have to pull, if you will, your boots on, pull them up to your hips till they become waders, and find the strength within yourself when sometimes there's no one left or no support system around you. You might have friends, you might have family, but really ultimately at the end of the day, it's our own responsibility. So what happened, a little bit of background, was my son's dad, through his own challenges of seeing what he was faced with, really, in knowing that we might lose our son, and how are we going to be okay, how are we going to survive independently, and would we survive together? Well, I was devastated. I think I was mourning the death and the loss of this child, and he was still alive.
Wow.
And most parents, I think, when they're faced with a child who may have a terminal condition of some kind, the shock of it really impacts you in such a way that you're just in some other realm. And I think you lose touch with the fact that you have a partner or husband or family, and you need to recognize that you're in shock. And I want to state that because oftentimes we get stuck in a place. So once you recognize, okay, something major has happened here, what am I going to do about it?
Right.
And how am I going to get through this? Well, my son's father, because it was his way of coping and surviving, said, look, we can't do this together. So then I was not only faced with the fact that I had to find some way to help this child have the best life that he could have,
Right.
or survive, and then doing it by myself, doing it single. So we split up, and I needed to put my life back together, and it was through needing to help him that I helped myself. And so it was his tragedy, if you will, that I took responsibility for his life and said, what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do? Well, I found every ounce of courage within myself, and I made his life my mission. And I recognized so much that happened as a result from that, is that you can't quit. You need to get it, get over it, and get on with it, and find some way to cut through whatever this illusion is, whatever your fear is, and find that brilliant spot in you that says, I can do this. We have to champion ourselves. And that's something that I hope through my speaking to you today, that you'll realize that it's really about the challenges that challenge us to become our own champion, to champion one another. And so in that spirit, there's a little bit more I'd like to go into.
That is fantastic. So if you're listening to this, I know Cindi, and she has an absolutely tremendous gift of really helping people to not only discover who they are, but who they are being and how to live life, to be your best absolute self. And so I listened to your story, and I've heard it before, and every time I do listen to you, honestly, I hear something new or a different perspective, which resonates with me, and I know it's going to resonate with everyone else. So it was really through your son that your gift, I think, first started.
Yeah.
It first started, right? And so how, I heard you say that, it was your absolute goal, it was innate within your DNA to help him to grow and live and be. And now what you have done is taken that very gift that you have for him, that love and light and peace and hope, and you have transcended it to so many other hundreds or thousands of people. How do you do that?
Well, one thing that I recognized after going through multiple surgeries, and I almost felt guilty when we get to leave the hospital.
Right.
And I realized there were all those families and children and parents sitting there wondering, how am I going to get through this? What's the fate of our life? What's going to happen to my child? How are we going to move forward? What is it all about? Well, I recognized that if we could help one another through these processes, and it's not just somebody who's got a terminal ill situation. I've worked with many, many people with stage 4 cancer and have all kinds of diseases and things like that, to look at their life and everything in it in a completely different way, so that we can see the gift and the blessing, and then also foster a sense inside of us that has the ability and the potential to actually shift the reality that we have.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because so many of us may have experienced a hardship or a tragedy, yet someone that may be viewing today may be saying, hey, you know what, I'm a business entrepreneur, or I'm a single mom, or hey, I'm just, a guy trying to make it, and haven't had those tough incidences or issues in life, and that's okay too. What would you say is something actionable, whether it be the professional entrepreneur, the mom that's trying to make a difference, the athlete, whoever that is? What could you share with that person that's actionable today, that you could say, do this one thing and start to see a difference in your life?
I would say if you ask me one single thing, which is a little bit of a challenge for me, because I I like to work with each individual and find out what they need to hear to make a difference in their life. The main theme, though, really is we have past experiences, we have beliefs. We're told, oh, you have so many days to live. If we buy that and we believe it, we almost make it become law in our world and in our life and in our reality. So I invite each and every one of you to take a look at what your challenge is, and could you possibly see it differently through a different set of eyes and a different belief system? Because really the world manifests itself through our thoughts and our beliefs. At least that's common thought now, and common understanding that we're realizing and recognizing that our thoughts become things. They really do. So I invite you to take a look at what your challenge is, and is there a way of perceiving and understanding and even believing that it's possible to have a different outcome or a different experience? Okay, so if you have a different possibility, then what happens is it opens up the whole realm, if you will, of whatever's around your problem to have a different outcome. It's like focusing on a bouncing ball. And I think in the movie What the Bleep, they did that. And it was at any split second, it's that particular snapshot you take of life, reality, the situation, that then sends that message, if you will, out into the ethers, into the universe, and that starts to come back to you. So let's say you saw a better outcome, and you say, you know, that's possible, and I'm going to hold that thought instead of my fear-based thought that says, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose this child, or oh my gosh, I lost my job, oh my gosh, I lost my house. Well, how could you spin that? Well, maybe there's an opportunity there that you haven't looked at. What if it was the biggest blessing because it spurned the biggest growth spurt you ever had in your life, and you took a leap of faith that you would have never taken otherwise?
So it's interesting because sometimes as human beings we want to control. I know that I like to control, and it's something that I know you have worked with me and coached me through, because I'm just a perfectionist. And I'm sure that some of the viewers out there are thinking, yeah, that's me too. So, right, we're all a work in progress. We're all a work in progress. You got it. So how is it for, you know, someone like myself, or someone that says, gosh, you know, I'm not even a control freak, I just want to be able to take that step. How do we say, okay, I'm going to draw the line in the sand. I'm ready to change my life. I'm just not sure what to do and how to go about it. What would you say?
Well, as you know, there's no other place to start but where you are right now, right in the very moment that you recognize. I would say to you, most of the time, it's like become aware of it, recognize it, own whatever it is. And so once you get the fact that, okay, there's something that isn't working and I need to do differently, then what's possible that you could look at it differently and find a way to do something completely different than you normally would have. Because oftentimes we go from our past experience, and that's logged in repeatedly. So what happens is, let's say we know we park on this street and I forgot to put money in the meter, and I know that I'm going to get a parking ticket. You come back and there's a ticket on your window. All right, well, what if you said, you know, I don't get parking tickets anymore. And I invite all of you to try this one on. It's sort of like having a parking angel and knowing that there's always a parking place at least 3 spaces from the front of wherever you want to park, and try that for a week or two and see how many parking places show up. So it teaches you
the good parking karma.
If you want to call it karma, I actually call it my own little magical trick. You know,
That's it.
Sprinkle whatever it is with pixie dust, if you will. Possible.
Absolutely.
What's possible? Possibility. So when you go into that place of possibility, then all things are possible, instead of that limited thought that you hold in your belief system, in your consciousness. And I don't even go into the unconscious, because that's a whole nother story.
Sure.
It's all about what you think, what's happened to you in the past, and what you believe. So if you believe it's so, it happens repeatedly over and over again. You get what you expect.
Absolutely.
So I expect the unexpected now. I expect the miracle. I expect something magnificent to happen, each and every moment. And oh my gosh, miracles show up around all the time. Is it possible? Yeah.
Absolutely. I love the word impossible because to me it means I am possible.
Beautiful.
And once you can take that, right?
It's really that. It's that easy too. That's the funny part. It's like now it comes so effortless that that thought becomes a thing, and before I can even hit the easy button or the send button, it's already starting to show up. It's already starting to manifest and materialize in my reality. And so if I can help you play with the magic of this magnificent world that we live in, the more people that do this, guess what? The more times it happens.
That is awesome. So I want to share a little secret with our viewers. But before I do, any other closing comments, coaching and words of wisdom? Because I could sit here all day here at the Chateau in Palos Verdes Estates and just listen to the ocean and the seagulls and the sea lions. But I know your schedule is very, very busy, and I'm so grateful that we're spending time. Anything that you would like to share with the folks before we conclude?
I'd like to invite each and every one of you to remember something really important. This classroom, this planet that we live on, is, if you will, a science experiment or your university. So I invite you to be Guru You. You are the university of you, and no one knows you better than you. And so what you are you going to bring into the world? What you do you want to be left as your legacy? And what you is going to stand for you and all of those that you touch. So love, light, and blessings, and thank you so much.
Oh, Cindi, you are so welcome. I just love you to pieces.